Joe Budden misses a free episode of the Joe Budden podcast. And the fans are outraged. That's right, y'all. Joe Budden just missed an episode of his podcast, and it came without warning and no type of heads up that he wasn't going to be there. This left Flip, Ish, Ice, Melissa Ford, and Parks to do the show by themselves. But wait, Ian Dunlop was there. So was this planned? Was this a mistake? Did something go wrong? Well, I think something went wrong. As in the last episode, Joe Budden did say that he was going to have the Podsgiving or Podmas on the same day of this episode. But then it just happens to be that Joe Budden wasn't there. I don't think this was planned at all, and something's going on behind the scenes. Now, I don't know if it's tension, I don't know if it's drama, but I can tell you that the fans don't feel this episode. They think it is terrible, but we have to pull back and examine what is going on. Would Ian Dunlop appear on an episode without Joe Budden? Could it be possible that Joe knew he wasn't going to be there and said, hey, Ian, come be the A-Mike? Well, actually, I would think that's contradicted by the fact that Ice and Flip, Ice of all people, are playing the A-Mike. That to me means this was not planned. This came out of left field. And if you go on the Reddit page, if you go on the Twitter community for the Joe Budden podcast, you can see that nobody is happy. And this comes on the week of pretty big news in terms of Andrew Schultz going at Kendrick Lamar. It's the biggest controversy going right now. I mean, you can get a lot of views if you post about it, but there's no Joe. And we also have to look at the fact that no one gave any heads up. And usually the Patreon drops right before the free episode now, right? Everybody knows that Joe's been starting this new initiative where instead of the episode dropping at Saturday in the morning only on audio, now they're dropping it on Patreon the day before video-wise and then dropping the audio the day after. So something about this just reeks of this was an emergency. Joe just didn't show up. And let me know what you think. I know the episode just came out, but for the most part, everybody's trashing the episode. They say it's bad. And what does this say about the Joe Budden podcast? If Joe leaves, that the show isn't good. Because the last time, it was a pretty long time ago, I don't think they've done a free pod without Joe in a minute. They've done a lot of pods without Joe on the Patreon, but when it comes to the free episodes, they always have Joe there. And also, is Queen's Flip really a good A-Mike? I know a lot of folks are always saying Queen's Flip does a great job of stepping into the void, but sometimes I feel like he just talks a lot and his attention just jumps all over the place. Like on the previous episode of the Patreon, I saw Flip was going all over the place. It was like, Melissa Ford's contract is getting paid. I don't understand. She re-upped. What's going on? Joe, you playing me. What's up with that? I feel like the podcast still doesn't have a clear second A-Mike. And we saw when Imani tried to lead a Patreon episode without Flip and Joe there, how horribly that went. Ish still doesn't want to step into the void when the other folks don't show up. And he's been there for like 4 years, damn near. I think the cast just has a problem with finding out who the leader is when Joe isn't there, and it showed this episode based upon fan feedback. But let me know, do you think that the pod should have just not come out? Do you feel like they should have put that joint on Patreon? And also, what do you think happened? I don't know exactly what could have happened, but I do know if you step back, take a look at this whole thing, it just seems very odd. The episode came out later than it typically does. The episode wasn't addressed as a joeless pod. Usually in the past, when Joe's not going to be on the pod, there's an allusion made to, hey, Joe's not going to be here. I'm going to vacation. I'm going to see my girl. Oh, it's my birthday. I'm not going I'm going to go see a game in Indianapolis. But that didn't happen today. And then I saw the Patreon that came out the day before. I got to do a full episode breakdown of that because a lot was revealed. And Joe was talking about adding another member to the pod and who that might be. This episode would lead me to believe it's Ian Dunlop because Ian is on the show a lot. Ian is always appearing. And in the episode on the Patreon, they said this guy's going to be flying out. This guy is really committed. Melissa Ford looked mad happy. That's something that JBP Elevated, a.k.a. Man in the Car, said. That Melissa Ford is giddy. And the only person who I can see her being giddy over is Ian Dunlop. Because Ian Dunlop and her are friends. Like real friends. Kind of like her and Mark Lamont are. But let me know what you think. What do you think happened with this episode? If you watched the episode, do you feel like it was a fun listen? Do you think the cast can exist without Joe being there? Or do you think in the future they should not do any type of episodes without Joe? And if they do, they should try to release it on Patreon only, not for general release. And I also want to say, please subscribe to my Patreon. I think it's really, really up there now as far as all of the content. There's a lot of stuff going on there. There's clips from the I recorded at Need to Know Studios. I recorded a whole episode. I recorded a whole skit called Homecoming University, which a lot of people seem to enjoy. So I got more Homecoming University clips coming possibly in the future. And also I have me talking about my fallout with Shammy, my fallout with Queens Flip, and also the whole Raqi Thunder Spaces situation. I got to tell you, Spaces is a little bit of a cesspool sometimes. And for the last few months, I have been doing Spaces, and it takes up a lot of time. I'm not going to lie. But I don't know why. Social audio is really addictive. It feels fun, but then you look up, it's like 1 o'clock, and then you look up, it's like 5 o'clock. It's like, man, I spent all day on Spaces. But I can't lie, Spaces has allowed me to make a lot of history in terms of that space I did last December, about a year ago, where I had Rory, Maul, and even Joe and Parks and Savon in the audience while they were talking about the breakup. So I can't be too mad, but I do think in 2025, I'm going to be trying to do less Spaces because there's just so much more I could be doing with my time. And maybe I'll, do more podcasting and, develop my Patreon. That's one of my creator goals for 2025 is to find a way to make the Patreon that I have more lit. Now, I think it's lit already, but it's really, really difficult to get anybody to pay for anything. And I'm grateful for the amount of subscribers I already have. But the premium content model is something that's very important to have because some people just want to see more of you and they're willing to pay for it as a result of the value you provided to them for free. So tap in with me there. It's The Stop on patreon.com. And there's a lot more stuff that's going on. That's where my Shammy interview lives. That's where my arguments with Rory on Spaces. I just got into one recently, and that's where that's at right now. It involved Damaris and all of that stuff. It wasn't really an argument. It was really just a miscommunication, and I think it was interesting. I think it was a fascinating commentary on how, I think you can make content, but sometimes the people you make content about, they see you a certain way, and you don't really like that way. So you have to step up for yourself or allow that to occur, and then you just get pushed all over. But with that said, Joe Budden missed the episode of the free podcast, right? It wasn't a Patreon episode. It was the 782 general release. So let me know what you think. What do you think is going on behind the scenes? Ian Dunlop flew out for an episode, so the fact that he flew out and Joe's not there, to me, indicates it was a big emergency. All right, y'all. Follow me on Instagram, The Stop TV. Follow me on Twitter, The Stop TV. This is Danny from The Stop. Peace. Hey, y'all. I just wanted to give you a free clip of my Patreon. This clip is from when I talked about Raqi Thunder and her presence on my spaces. It came out about a week ago. So enjoy the clip. Subscribe to the Patreon if you're interested. If not, it's totally fine. You can wait a little bit and then just wait till more content's on the channel. Yeah, the Patreon is called The Stop. See you later, alligator. Raqi Thunder fell out with me a while back, a month ago. And people are continuously bringing that up. And I'm just like, where do you think we went wrong? Because there was like an argument we had that was a little wild.
What was the argument?
I'm
not gonna lie, I'm a little...
Yeah, I mean, you don't really be on Spaces like that. So this all happened on Spaces.
No, I know, I'm aware, but I'm speaking of the fan, as someone who probably doesn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody don't be on Spaces.
Yeah. So, all right. So, over the last, I would say, 4 to 6 months, Raqi Thunder from Love and Hip Hop started joining our Spaces. And she had close ties to Joe Budden, which my channel covers a lot. And I do mad videos. I'm not gonna lie. I would say 90% of the videos. But she started joining the Spaces and we developed a rapport. But over time, I felt like, I don't know, Evan was there. Evan was actually part of the Spaces, so he can speak to. I felt like it was becoming awkward, and I felt like she was trying to usurp certain aspects of the stage. So I was like, man, I think it's time. I think it's time we start. Yeah.
Okay. My only question to you would be more like, would you say like you got to a point where you reached like, okay, let's not orchestrate, but like you want to set it up to be like, let's really just force it. Let's just rip the Band-Aid in a sense.
Yeah, like
that sounds like a Danny thing.
Okay, so it's a history. Okay.
Let's just get over it. That sounds like a Danny thing. Let's just do it.
Yeah, E-Flip has known me for a real long time, guys. So
quite some time.
Yeah,
Danny is let's rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
Okay, because
aggressively.
It definitely felt a little bit premature, and I was like, what the hell's going on when I replayed the space?
Mid-sentence. Danny is
after he made his points, okay, I see both sides of it, honestly. And I hate being the both sides guy, but I definitely saw both sides because I got no issue with Raqi Thunder.
There's no 3 strikes. One softball, it's over. No shit, you don't even got to get to a strike. It's a...
Okay.
Yeah.
You right, but what I'm saying...
But this could be different.
Danny had points. I just, like you said, like I just felt like it was like, oh my God, is this really warranted right now? Like, what the hell's happening? But...
Yeah, so what I did is like she tweeted something the day before and it was like a meme, and then I went on the timeline and I was like I did like a sub, and sometimes like I was subbing the meme.
Oh, okay.
So then she came on the Space the next day on 100. It's pure Love and Hip Hop. I don't know if you remember her from Love and Hip Hop.
Yeah, I do. She was fiery.
Yeah, she was fiery.
She was fiery.
And she's only grown more fiery since then. Like it's not like she's grown and she's past it. Like she be crashing out all the time.
Okay, crash out queen. Okay.
So she unleashed the tirade on me, and it became like really. I think it got ugly in some extent. Like I don't feel that bad, but I think we was like taking shots at each other's whole existence online. Like I was making fun of the book she wrote. I was talking about how Elliot, like, and all of this stuff. I just went low with it, you know.
Yeah, that's foreplay.
Okay. No.
I hate you. That's Danny's love language.
Nah, man. Oh, for me. All right,
yeah. For Danny,
got it. But yeah,
violence. Verbal violence.
Okay.
So now I'm noticing, like, I just want to be clear. I don't have an issue with Raqi, but I think like it's just hard for us to coexist because there's like a on Spaces, purely Spaces, or in any broadcast medium, because I feel like she wants me to be like deferential to her or be like, yo, that's Raqi, like we gotta, and I just see her as another participant. Like I don't see her as somebody I gotta, cater to. Like so.
Yeah, like she was stepping into your world.
Yeah.
And okay, I see what you're saying. Like she stepped into your world and then wanted that world to center around her.
Yeah, or not even maybe that, but like just be at the, like her needs needed to be met at all times. She needs to be on stage at all times. Let's say a person came on stage and had an issue with her. She wanted them to be like, yo, prioritize me because
I'm one of the stars. I'm like, I don't see you. Even though she's great, I think she should make a podcast. I just didn't see it.
You ain't that good. My man, like, you ain't that good.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, you know what it is, man? She's a baddie, obviously. But I don't care. I don't care. Like, I don't care.
I don't care what you look like.
Yeah. And I do think she's awesome. I do think she's talented. I would love to do a podcast, like an interview podcast, and talk to her about what happened, or just talk about anything, because I do think she's dope. I do think she's really talented, and I feel like it's unfortunate she doesn't have like a podcast out there, because I would be tuning in all the time, because she's just that great at what she does.
So where are you at now? Because I know you and your bridges, you like to just light them on fire.
Oh yes.
So is this bridge still at least intact?
Nah, I think she's like, you know how like when you've met your match.
Oh. Oh, okay.
So I went to unfollow her. And I was like, oh, she already unfollowed me.
She's a step ahead of you? Yeah. Damn. Oh, she's good.
I was like, I got to take this another level. So I kicked her and banned her from my Discord. And then I removed her ability. I don't even know if she DM'd me. I removed the ability for her to DM me. Just be like, oh,
even I don't know if she's going to, but I know she can't. I don't know if she ever was, but she can't now.
Don't even want to give her the opportunity.
So I got super.
Okay, so he really does burn bridges.
Yeah.
Slice that shit on fire.
Yeah.
Boy.
Okay.
Like Frank Ocean.
On fire. And it's not like a gradual. It's like, oh, you did that? Poof. That's it. It's not.
That seems similar to someone else, huh? But nah. Yeah. I'm making an allusion to Joe. But yeah, I was thinking about, like, I don't know, like, it's just tough with people sometimes. Like, in this, I'm not super famous, but I just think people expect me to treat them a certain way, and I'll be like, I'm still Danny. I still really messed up sometimes. Like, I feel like I've grown though, but it's just like, nah, man, I wish Raqi would kind of understand my point. But Evan rocks with Raqi, so I mean, it's good for you to be the Raqi.
He called me a Rockette before. He could call me a Rockette. And I was like, that's a crazy name.
But that's
I get what he's saying.
It's not just me.
I don't be name for a fan base.
Yeah, that's a fine name. I think she should be happy I did that. But what I'm saying is, I'm not the only one that thinks that about Evan. A lot of it, yeah. So
it was like one time I was like, they were going through an argument, whatever, and I like came to Rocky's defense. I was like, I kind of understand Rocky's point. And everybody's like, what the f? What is Evan doing? What, Evan? What's going on?
Evan.
I just agree with the person's point.